My name is Sumeet. We'll be doing the plant and personal section now on Honeywell solution for digital transformation in safety and security. So let me just quickly go through. So this is first session in the morning, so we have to do the safety moment first. It's a safety session, so let's have a look at the safety moment first. So from safety perspective, sometimes we tend to rush things, so we should take our time, make sure all we're doing is safe. So if you do not have the option, please go for the next option. Do not rush for it because it is not worth the effort to rush. Okay? And at the same time, we have to be mindful of our surroundings. Sometimes we take things for granted. So please always be mindful where you are and take all actions safely. And the third one is that learn from your peers, learn from your experienced seniors, and do the right thing when they are. Okay. So with that, let's have a quick look at what are some of the dynamics of the industry. So when you look around from a safety perspective, there are a lot of inefficiencies, and every inefficiency costs money to the process and to the company. So when you look at some of the figures, number of millions of dollars spent in downtime, dollars spent each year on rectifying and correcting the problems, and you look at the efficiency that is there. There is a lot of opportunity that if you do the things safely from day one, those problems can be saved as we go on. Okay? Now, we all know that the technology has changed from what it was to what we are today. So, how many people have their photographs on iCloud or Samsung Drive? How many people use Samsung Cloud or iCloud? Everybody uses. Everybody uses online banking, right? But we do not use the cloud in the process industry. Okay? So we are using cloud for our personal life, but we do not want to use the cloud for the process. So there are benefits of the technology that we have. So some of the trends in the technology that are very, very prominent now is the virtualization. So that's number one. You no longer need to buy hardware to put it in a room and big AC. It can be all done in virtual environment. And there are benefits of doing it virtualizing. Then there is a connectivity aspect. So when we buy things, we want to make sure that we are continuously updated on what the status is. So that's what connectivity is about. Then there is virtual reality. So there were some sessions yesterday where the presenters talk about the artificial intelligence, using the 3D or AVR to train the employees. And that is a real opportunity to use virtual reality to do training on the process before people go to the field, so everybody knows how to do things safely. Okay? Then there is a digitization. So what type of strategy you have in the company, what is your roadmap for the next 5 to 10 years, and where you want to be. So digitization is the top priority for most of the customers nowadays. Okay? And the final one is the cloud. So cloud is still, in the process industry, cloud is still considered to be a next milestone, but we are slowly getting there. Okay? The faster a company gets to the cloud, the faster you can make the benefits that cloud technology provides. Okay? Everybody okay with that? So from Honeywell's perspective, there are 3 key components for having a safe and a secure plant. Okay? So number one is your plant safety, second is your personal safety, and third part is the compliance. Okay? Things like a PLC or a cell-free system or a burner management system, they all fall under plant safety. Most of the time, from automation perspective, all these 3 sections are considered to be separate sections. But as we move into the next digital phase, it is very important that all these 3 sections are connected together. Okay? And from Honeywell's perspective, the future is how you share the information between these 3 different units and combine them into one. Okay? So I'll share some technology that is available, some technology that is coming in the future, which helps us to bridge the gap between these 3. Okay? So let's have a look at the standard. So when we look at the IEC standard gives us a layer of protection format. Okay? So the process system sits at the bottom of the food chain, and then you have layers on top of that to make sure that our process and our people are kept safe. From Honeywell, we believe that all these solutions have to be tied together very nicely. So when we look at it, so there are different solutions available from different suppliers. But the idea is that all these solutions have to work together. All these solutions have to talk to each other. So when you look at it, the process control has to talk to the safety system has to talk to the building automation should have a 3D design into it, your telecoms, your PAGA, all these subsystems have to work together. So the idea behind it is that if there is a problem somewhere, or if there is an issue somewhere, you should have the ability to check and take a corrective action before anything goes wrong. Okay? So what it means from Honeywell's perspective is that, so typically people will say that I am from automation supply, I only supply DCS, I do not know who is supplying the CCTV. The CCTV guy will say, I am only supplying CCTV, I don't know who is supplying ICSS. And so will be the fire and gas. But when you look at it on a day-to-day basis, all these three systems, they work independently. Okay? But when there is a problem, when there is a fire or there is a gas leak, all these three systems have to work together. You should be able to see where the gas leak is. You should be able to have access to a CCTV to go and check the system very quickly. And then you take an action. Is it a shutdown or is it a corrective action? Whatever the protocol there will be. But the idea is that the information sharing between these three silos have to be continuous. Okay? And how do you bring that information together? So we will share some technology which we have available, which helps to bridge the gap between these three pillars of automation for process industry. Okay? Any questions so far? All right. So let's have a look at the first section. So what solution Honeywell can provide from plant and compliance perspective? So when we say plant safety, there are a number of solutions available in the market. Typically, the compliance part is done on the front end, and then the information is handed over to a vendor. But we believe that these two sections have to bridge together because information from one has to seamlessly travel to the other, okay? And vice versa. So let's have a quick look what we can do there. So from Honeywell's perspective, there are a lot of technology available which can provide you the data in the field. Sensors, people say big data, people say IIoT. All this is about how can you have those edge devices which can give you the information you require. Okay? Now we saw yesterday in one of the sessions that as we are going into the future, the demand for data is growing exponentially. So there was information presented by Aviva presented yesterday that the requirement for data is going to triple by 2022. Okay? Now the question to you is, what are you going to do with the data? Okay? So is it the right data? Is it the wrong data? What information does it mean? This is where analytics becomes very, very important. So if I have an information from the field or from a sensor, what does that information mean? That's where the analytics come into the picture. Once you have analyzed the data, what are you then going to do with the data? Okay, are you going to take a corrective action? Are you going to put it into the next maintenance round? So it all has to travel together. So this is what we're saying here is, we collect the data first, we analyze the data, and then we measure it against a benchmark. Is our benchmark 95% availability, or 97% availability, or zero downtime? We start to compare with that. The beauty with the analytics is the analytics can give you a prediction when your plant may have a shutdown or when your pipe may have a problem. So we want to use that data upfront to make proactive decision rather than a reactive decision. Okay. Here is another example. So from what we're currently looking at from our automation supplier perspective is that most of the time the safety requirement is given by one party, the configuration is done by another party. So we want to bridge that gap together as well. So what Honeywell is going forward is that when we have the functional design specifications, we go on through the journey of HAZOP and layer of protection analysis. We as the automation supplier want to be part of that discussion as well. And we want to have a tie back that as the inputs change and they impact different layers, there should be a follow feedback so that the circle, the change of management is fully complete. Okay? So if you look at here, we want to say it's a one enterprise level software platform where all the information is put together and it goes to the respective parties. Okay? You want to have a higher quality with fewer resources. You want to centralize and synchronize. So one of the biggest issues with automation projects is there are multiple sets of database. So I have my database, another engineer has his own database, a third-party supplier has their own database. But end of the day, all those databases have to come together and work as one system. And this is where the real problem is because the interface becomes a big issue. Okay? And the final one is the monitor the performance, because I may say that I will give you 99% availability, but how do you compare that 99% availability during the operational phase? So this is where we say we monitor the performance and we minimize the risk. Okay? Another solution from the compliance perspective is when we use fire and gas detectors, fire and gas equipment, a lot of the time it is based on engineering knowledge. Okay? But now with the technology advancement, we can do a lot more simulations on it. So how many people in the room use fire and gas mapping to allocate your detectors? No one, right? So one of the issues that we see is that there is a lot of science behind fire and gas methodology, okay? And 85% of that design is okay. The problem is with the 10 to 15% of the items. So they are either not placed appropriately or it is not a right technology, okay? Should you use an open path detector, or should it be a flame detector? Should it be 90 degrees? Should it be on the east or on the west? So from a process perspective, when we look at a 2D drawing, you can plot the detectors. But when you look at a 3D drawing, the situation is very different. Okay, so our recommendation to the customers and the clients is that you should, when you're doing your fire and gas equipment allocation, you should look at 3D drawing instead of a 2D. Because fire and gas is your last frontier. It's your last support before it loses containment. Okay? If your fire and gas does not pick up the leak or the flame or the explosion, you already have loss of containment. Okay? So your design of fire and gas is very, very important. Okay? So right technology at the right location, that's what the 3D technology gives us. Okay? For us to perform this, so we typically take your 3D drawing of the plant or a unit, then we can go through the analysis of putting the detectors and give you a report on that. Okay. All right. So the next section is on how do we take care and how do we make our personnel safe and personnel connected. So this session is all about personnel safety. So let's go quick look. So when we say personnel or people on a plant, there are different types and different categories of people. Okay? There are people who are sitting in the control room building or in the administration building. There are people who are in the field. There are people who are visiting the plants. And there may be contractors who are coming to the site to perform different works. So when we say that we want to make our personnel safe, we need to first define what type of people, what group that we have that come to our facility. Because then you need to understand the need of each of those workers, each of those people, and have a right solution. Okay? So let me share some solutions with you here. So when we say the connected personnel, our idea is that a connected person or a connected people or a connected worker has two benefits. There is a safety benefit and there is a productivity benefit. Okay? Let me share with you what we mean by the productivity and the safety. So if you look at it from a productivity perspective, will it make sense if you are aware of the location of a field worker who is actually fixing a pump in one section of the plant? Okay? So in your computerized maintenance management system, if you know the location, it means a lot more sense for me to deploy the same engineer from one location to the next location rather than he coming back and then going back. So this is where the productivity comes very, very handy. Okay? The second part is the time on site. So time on site has got two reasons. One is that the time on site means money. The second is that the time on site means fatigue or safety issue. Okay? The third one is have you got your right level of training? Do you have your right license? Have you done your induction? So all those issues have to be taken into care. Because let's say if somebody has not done their HSC training, but they come to the site at 8 o'clock, they cannot start the work. So you're losing hours, you're losing money. So that's a productivity part. But at the same time, there is a safety aspect as well. Okay? If there is an explosion or if there is a man-down situation, you want to know where is the man-down situation. Okay? Then you can have a very fast corrective action. You can send the first responders. You can send your emergency team to take care of the personnel. It also means that if there is an evacuation, how many people in the plant and how many people at the muster point. So if there were 100 people in the morning, but there are only 98, so we need to look for 2 more people. We need to find where they are. Typically, the mustering is a very manual exercise. Everybody casts for the name and you go to a register and you tick. Anybody uses a digital mustering solution? Yes? No? The third part is the fatigue aspect of it. So if somebody is working over hours at site, sometimes the contractors want to make more money. Okay? So they will work at site 60 hours, 70 hours, 80 hours. We are human beings. We can only work so many hours. After a certain limit, your productivity starts to go down and your safety concern starts to go up. So we want to flag to the site manager or the supervisor that one of the engineer, let's say Mr. Kim, has been working 80 hours every week. Okay? Which means that he is very tired and there is a concern that he may have either a physical health issue or he may end up doing something wrong. He may fall asleep at site or something. Okay? And then the compliance part. So the idea here is that from one solution there are two benefits. There is a safety aspect and there is a productivity aspect. And both of these aspects are directly related to the economic benefit on the site. Okay. All right. So, from Honeywell we have few solutions which are specifically targeted towards connected people. So things like, do you have the right level of training before you come to work? Have you done your refresher course? How about your exposure? Which areas will you be working on? Do you have the right PPE? Do you have the right apparatus, right detectors? When there is an evacuation, can I do a real-time counting? Okay? Do I know if I had 100 people and I have accounted for 100 or they are missing people? Okay? Then there is time on site access. So there could be, one of the customers, they requested us for a drug policy. So they have a zero drug policy inside. So they do random breath tests. So if somebody has a good big night on Friday, they come to work on Saturday and they are drunk, they should not be at site. So how do you manage the site access? So that's a big push because if somebody is above the limit, that can cause serious safety issue. Okay? So here are some of the solutions on how do you track people. So the reason that the whole idea behind tracking is there are various levels of solution. There are offline solutions, there are online solutions, and then there are real-time solutions. Okay? The offline solutions is, we typically badge our card in the morning at the front gate, we badge at the exit gate. That's an offline solution. An online solution is that you continuously know the position of a worker or an employee as they are walking in the facility. Okay? The idea is to how to use that information from a productivity perspective as well as from a safety perspective. Okay? So you can also track the vehicles. So here is an example of an offshore platform. If somebody is leaving the platform but they are jumping to the evacuation board, how do you do that? So here is another scenario. So a lot of the times our workers will be working in night shifts or off-peak shifts where they are working on their own. Okay? And there can be situations where they might fall, they might have a slip. So the idea is that how do we make sure if there is a man-down situation, how do we track the man-down situation? So a lot of the times, it is a very manual process. So Mr. Kim went out to the site, but he has not returned for 2 hours. Then somebody will take a corrective action that where is Mr. Kim, why has he not returned? Okay? But by that 2 hours, it could be very, very late. It could be fatal for Mr. Kim. He may have passed out or he may have a serious injury. So what we're trying to do here is that most of the sites will have at least an H2S gas detector. Okay? Some sites will have multi-gas detectors. So these portable gas detectors are part of the PPE for a field worker. So what we're doing is that this gas detector has a man-down alarm. And that man-down alarm can be sent very quickly either by Wi-Fi or 4G LTE network to the control room or to your emergency room. So the idea is that as the moment Mr. Kim has a fall, either he slips or he has a heart attack, whatever the situation may be, the sensor will send an alarm within 30 seconds to 1 minute, depending on the configuration, and the alarm gets to the control room operator, and the operator can, from the ICSS screen, the operator can actually open a location. Okay? He can open a map and see very clearly that Mr. Kim is either in a CDU unit or he is in a wastewater treatment plant, and I have got 2 or 3 more workers around him who can very quickly access him. Okay? Because the emergency team may take 15 minutes to get to the location, whereas a nearby operator could take 5 minutes and could be the first responder to him to take care of it. Okay? And what that means is, it's the whole idea is that how do you use technology, You connect it with another technology and you make an outcome. So the outcome here is that we have a very fast response. Our reactive nature is now proactive, okay? And it means a lot more safety for our people. Any questions on that? Okay. So I just want to play a small video.
Personal gas safety is a way of knowing the condition of our employees at any time. We get an alarm, the control room operator can know exactly what the problem is, exactly where, exactly who, and they can send help in minutes. What makes it unique to Honeywell is that it is connected. Honeywell, the power of connected. We've connected from the field, from the worker, all the way into the control room. One of the really nice features of the system is that it connects by mobile phone LTE signal. Almost all of our facilities have those signals available. You don't have to wire up Wi-Fi. You don't have the expense of that kind of infrastructure. So this is one of our microwave personal gas monitors, worn by the operator, clipped to their uniform. It detects any one of 4 pre-selected gases. In addition to the gas detection, it has a panic button and a man-down indicator. In a man-down situation, the system has a way of detecting that the operator is actually in trouble and can send the signal even if he can't speak for himself. Under the unusual circumstance of a problem, the control room operator can pull up a map view of the plant, can see exactly where the operator who's got the problem is, so they can send help out right away.
There's this idea that a lot of employees have to work in pairs because it is a dangerous environment. That's true. But in situations where you go into work in the top of a 11th deck or 12th deck, you don't have to bring somebody with you. You can work by yourself. It allows me to sleep at night to know that our employees, we got them covered.
At Honeywell, we're always trying to make the workers safer, and this is just the next step in that process.
Okay. So there are some other solutions which this technology allows. So a lot of the time, in some of the other regions around the world, the sites are very big, or people have to go to the production areas, wellheads, and even with the same facilities, people are using the vehicles. So a lot of the times, the management wants to track where are the vehicles and what is the condition. So the same unit allows you to track your vehicle movement because it is connected to GPS. So you are continuously getting the information to take a safe action, when necessary. Okay? There are a lot of situations where people work in confined space, cleaning the tanks, inspecting the pipelines, and doing the work, or going into small areas in the plant where the gas concentration can be high. Okay, so this solution helps us to track those areas and wirelessly. So rather than having one guy standing on the top, the technology helps you to give an extra advantage, whereby you can have the alarm or the alert if a situation persists. Okay. So another solution that is added from a digital transformation perspective is what we call connected helmet. So the beauty with this connected helmet is that, again, it's a Wi-Fi, Bluetooth-enabled device. All our operators are using the PPE when they go to the site, but this helmet takes that a step further. So this is the digitization of a helmet. Okay. The idea behind here is that when operators are working and they are maintaining or fixing a pump or a transmitter or a device, they may not have all the details available with them. They may need to talk to a subject matter expert either in the control room or maybe in Seoul, or could be an OEM in Germany. Okay? So in that case, the device is Wi-Fi enabled, it's connected to the network. So the control room, the field operator can actually take a video while he's fixing the device, and he can actually have a two-way communication with a subject matter expert, or he can open up the product data sheet or troubleshooting article from the web that is available for him. So this helmet provides a camera. It provides you may have heard of the Google Eye. So it provides you a Google Eye type of screen, which gives you the ability to work hands-free and at the same time access information, available on the web or on your company portal. Okay. So, the mobile phones are now part of our life. okay, and they're becoming part of the process life as well. So there are a lot of solutions from Honeywell which are very specifically targeted around people safety. So, you know, we already talked about the gas detector, we spoke about the helmet, but then there are other systems such as bioharness. So when people are going up the stacks to clean the stacks, or they're going in the confined locations, sometimes people are not comfortable, okay? So the bioharness device will pick up the heartbeat. If the heartbeat is going faster, you know there's a chance of somebody falling off because they may faint, okay? So the device sends, the bioharness sends a signal through your mobile device to the control room operator that the heartbeat is going very fast, and either the engineer is not comfortable, or engineer is in a very low lack of oxygen area, or he's quite tired. So it can be used in a lot of safe areas. Okay. Similarly with the SCBA, so our safety apparatus, that's again Bluetooth enabled, so it gives signals back to the site to provide you the health of it. Okay. And all that information can be put in cloud, which can be accessed by the supervisor either on site or anywhere around the world, which makes it connected throughout. Okay. So the next topic that I want to touch for the next 5 minutes is a very targeted solution around incident management. Okay. So when incidents happen at site, typically the incident management is a very manual and a very sequential process, where people, let's say, so here I've just taken a definition here. What does an incident mean? Incident can be in any form. It is not necessarily a fire or an explosion. It can be somebody illegal on the site. It can be a medical emergency. It can be theft. It can be any way, form, or shape. Okay. So when an incident happens at site, typically somebody will get notified by either a field worker or by the first responder. Then we go and assess the situation. We will go and find our safety operating manual or our safety operating procedure. Okay, and then you will take an action. So typically that's a very long process, where people are calling somebody and they're calling you back to confirm the information, and it's a continuous process which takes a lot of time. Okay? But what happens in this case is that, let's say there's an explosion, the decision to shut down or evacuation, it cannot be made by the control room operator. The decision has to come either from a plant manager or from the senior executive. Okay? Now the senior executives are always getting information by the phone. They do not have the real picture what has actually happened. So what it means is that, if you say there is a big fire, your big fire and my big fire definition can be different. And as a result, there can be a confusion in the decision that we take, which may impact on the safety of the plant and people at the same time. So what we are presenting here is that what we call, in an emergency, so people need to, when they have to take a decision, they have to go to multiple sources, they have to correlate the information, they have to, make the information, make sure that the information that they have is updated. It's not 30 minutes late or it's not 1 hour late. And then they have to take a decision to take the next step. Is it an evacuation, or is it a shutdown, or business as usual? Okay. So what we are trying to do is that how do we make the life of an emergency coordinator or a supervisor easy? How do we present to him the information, the right information in the right level at the right time? So what we present here is what we call as command and control suite, very specifically for emergency and incident management handling, where we provide the integrated view of the facility. So the emergency coordinator has the eyes and the ears to the plant and the process. They can make the responses are much faster, and the information is presented in a very, very simplified format, rather than you said and I said and he said. So it's not about people talking to each other. It's everybody is looking at the same information while they take a decision. Okay. So here is some of the methods here. So what you see here is, so this is what, so in our typical emergency response, you are taking a decision based on your accessibility of the plant. Okay? But in command and control suite, we want you to take a decision while you look at the area where the situation has happened. So this is where we say that we're going to put a map. So the entire decision is based on geographical map, which can be a 3D, 2D, or a picture. It helps you to quickly view the critical equipments, your HVAC, your feed pumps, your deluge system, and at the same time, all your operating procedures are digitized as well. Okay? So your 10 steps or your 5 steps of managing an emergency, they have all been electronically put into the system. So if there is a fire alarm or if there is a gas leak alarm, the system will automatically present you a standard operating procedure which is set by your company either for gas leak or for fire alarm, which makes the whole response much faster. Okay? So let me just ask you one question here. Do you have or anybody has the standard workflows in a digital format? Where do you keep your standard operating procedures at site?
Mostly digital format.
Yeah, digital format, is it? Yeah. So are you able to access that straight away as the alarm comes up? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Right. So this is what we were talking about. So we take all your manual workflows and we will digitize that. But these digital workflows are linked to the alarms in the background. So when there's a fire alarm, the system will automatically present you a fire alarm workflow. If there's a gas leak, it presents you a gas leak workflow. And at the same time, the system helps you to do the incident reporting. So the system takes all your inputs, why you take an evacuation decision or a shutdown decision. All those comments can be taken into it, and the reporting is done at the same time as well. Okay. So while using the command and control suite, the incident management is, so the time period, the whole idea is that how do you reduce the time to respond to an incident. With the command and control suite, the steps are reduced 30 to 40%, whereas the collaboration aspect and the reporting aspect, that's a complement within the system. So it happens automatically within the system. People are talking to each other, the information is real time. You can see what has been done by who, and make sure that the incident has been responded to effectively. So this is my last slide. So we got just about right time. So as we said earlier on, from Honeywell's perspective, for a connected plant means you have connected plant safety, connected people safety, which is then bound by your processes and your compliance aspect. Okay? If there is any disjoint between these three, then there is a gap, and we need to look at how do we remove that gap. Okay? So that's my last slide on the session now today. Please feel free to ask any questions. Before we get there, I just want to make sure. So we are at booth 9 and 10 in the exhibition. So we have got a demo unit for command and control suits. We are showing that. We got a connected helmet on demo as well as we got the connected portable gas detectors. So please do take the time and visit the booth, ask the question. Feel free if you have any queries. Most welcome. Yeah. So questions, please let me know. I've got my colleagues here as well. If there is any language, we can certainly help with that. So don't be shy. Go ahead.